to the March 14th regular City Council meeting. Let's stand for the pledge. Pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we need to have approval of the additions to the agenda, and the additions are a few bills, and we are going to have under the mayor's report a VRBO discussion.
Move we approve the additions. I move we approve the additions.
I'll second that.
Okay, Shar?
Siebert-Wills,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Nevin,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Schrupp.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next is public forum. You know, before we started, I just can't help but want to mention Ukraine, you know, and everybody, whatever we can do for them, keep them in our thoughts. It's a mess around the world right now. So let's go to public forum. Action may or may not be taken on any issue raised. If council requires more information or time for consideration, the issue will be placed on the agenda of our next regular council meeting. Speaker must state their name and address.
That's not correct.
Huh?
That's not correct.
It's not correct?
It says no action will be taken.
Oh,
That's
well,
not correct.
well, then we
We
should change
changed
that.
that.
Okay.
Dave, did you read off this?
That's
Did you read
correct.
off the original?
It's corrected on the addition. Look at your agenda, the addition.
Yeah, that's what he's got me saying.
That's what I got.
Well, on my addition, is that what the additions?
It's correct on the additions.
It's not on the regular.
I don't know, what did I miss? Oh, is that what I missed saying?
You said no action will be taken.
Oh, okay, I didn't.
You were reading.
I didn't mean that anyway. Okay, moving on. Each speaker is given 3 minutes. Hello, Peter, and go ahead.
All right. Peter Graves, 14131 Sugarloaf Road in Cross Lake. Mayor and City Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I prepared these comments after the last regular City Council meeting back in February. So I'm going to read through them. It is with frustration and anger that I come before the council tonight. For the past several years, I have listened to the members of this city council cast slightly veiled and at times not so slightly veiled aspersions against other members of this council regarding their ability to fully represent and perform their duties as a council member due to them not being physically present. I've been a resident of Cross Lake for 19 years, a full-time resident these past 5 years, and prior to that, a seasonal resident for 14 years. Since retiring and choosing to live in Cross Lake year-round, I have become actively involved in the activities and events of this city. Until this year, as a new volunteer Park and Recreation Commissioner, I've not held any official position within the administration of the city. However, I have regularly attended city council meetings for several years, either in person or by Zoom. During that time, I've listened to one topic that has been brought up over and over again at these city council meetings and in other forums. Finally, in November, at the November regular meeting, I heard Mayor Niven say that he was done addressing the topic and would not bring it up again before the council. At that time, I made a commitment to myself that if it was brought up again, I would speak up and share my views on the subject. Mayor Niven has been true to his word. However, the subject of physical attendance was raised and discussed for 20 minutes at the last 3.5-hour city council meeting. For the past 4 years that I've been attending meetings, there's been an ongoing periodic discussion as to whether council members can do their job and serve our city if they are not year-round residents and physically attend all but 3 regular meetings per year. The necessities of the pandemic and advances in enhancements in technology have greatly improved the ability of people to connect and participate remotely. Those improvements have made remote access a viable alternative. Business can and is being done with full representation. If that were not the case, I would argue that many of the discussions and votes taken by this council over the past couple of years might be considered invalid. However, that argument notwithstanding, on a separate and personally frustrating point, I would remind the council that over 60% of the budget revenue received to conduct the business of this city comes from seasonal residents. Those residents help pay the city services that they may not fully benefit from, such as snow removal, or the costs for the city sewer services that they are not here year-round to benefit from. Those seasonal residents also generate significant portion of the revenue received by businesses within the Cross Lake area. As such, it could be argued that 60% of the City Council should be represented by seasonal members. Who is giving voice to those people who choose to spend their late spring, summer, and early fall months in this area? Or representing the people whose jobs require them to work and live in large cities, but they spend significant parts of their discretionary income to own a vacation or retirement retreat here? Where is their representation? One argument has been raised that an individual cannot understand the needs or passionate opinions of the Cross Lake citizens if they are not physically present year-round so that they can meet and talk to those people year-round. I deeply disagree that is true, or that is the only criteria for someone to be able to make sound, appropriate judgments on any particular issue facing this council. But again, even if you believe that every member that sits on council must be someone who is here every month of the year, then where on this city council are the voices that represent the 60% plus of your budget? The seasonal people that spend their time in the Twin Cities, Arizona, Florida, or Texas choose to spend some of their time and a lot of their hard-earned income here in Cross Lake. They spend it in their property taxes and in supporting many of the local businesses that depend on them to make it through the year. It is up to this city council to ensure that the comments these seasonal people make and the image that they portray to the larger world is one of Cross Lake is a great place to visit and an even better place to live. I ask that you please keep this opinion in mind as you choose repeatedly to discuss this issue over and over and over again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Peter. Does anybody want to comment on that? Okay, let's move on. Cindy, come on. You can comment on that?
I have no comment. I have nothing but praise for the city this evening. I have been riding around with Ted for the last couple days, looking at the amount of work that your city Public Works Department has done on the streets in preparation for the parade. And I just want to say thank you. We're ready for the masses. I think it's just going to be a barn burner of an event this weekend. And it's really something that we need your assistance on. I mean, this parade has gotten to the point where it's going to be fun, and everybody is really looking forward to it. And I know Ted and his guys have been really working around the clock to make it happen. I wanted to give a shout out to my 2 cohorts over here Laura Gorgeson, C. Bob Heelis, who have been with this committee for over 10 years now. Two of the best volunteer committee members that I have, and I just wanted to say thank you, and we're looking forward to a really fun weekend.
And an extension of that, Cindy, is thank you for everything you do.
Welcome.
But, yeah. All right, anybody else, public forum? Not seeing anybody come up, we're going to close public forum. The consent calendar is next. All items here are listed to be considered as routine by the city council and will be acted on with one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless the citizen or council member so requests. Anybody have anything? Okay. Char?
Need a motion.
Oh, need a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the consent calendar as submitted.
I second it.
Okay.
Herzog.
Yes.
Nevin.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Schrupp.
Yes.
Siebert Wills.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next is the mayor and council members' report. First on the agenda is a letter from the Crow Wing County Historical Society requesting support. So, Shar, what do we normally do?
I don't think in the past you have supported the Crow Wing County.
Oh, this is Crow Wing.
Yeah,
This
this is Crow Wing. But they send one every year.
Yeah, okay. What do we do for our local historical society?
I can comment. I don't think we actually give them any money. I think there was some issue of us giving away tax money to 501c3 organizations, that was not considered appropriate. So I would ask Brad, but I think that's been discussed before.
Do you recall that, Brad?
We have had, there are restrictions, let's leave it at that, but my memory is too that we have not given to them in the past.
I don't think we've ever had a request either from the Cross Lake Historical Society that I can remember offhand.
Well, I would support everybody giving our local historical society some money. But what do you want to do with the county?
I'd say no.
Let her go?
I'd agree.
Do we have to make a motion or just let her go?
So, no action.
Okay, next is a resolution accepting donations. We again have some donations. We've got one for $2,004.25 from the PAL Foundation for bleachers. And we've got one for $2,000 from Laurel Labordi. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but donation to the fire department, first responders for supplies. So we need a motion to accept those, and we certainly appreciate any donations we get, but do we have a motion for that?
I make a motion that
Motion.
we accept these two donations.
Second?
I'll second that and thank them.
Yep, okay.
Nevin.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Schrupp.
Yes.
Siebert Wills.
Yes.
Herzog.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next, we've been looking at our banks that service the city hall here. And we did get some proposals back. Has everybody had a chance to look at them?
Yes.
Yes.
I looked at them, and I see certainly a few of them that don't have any charges. They don't appear to have charges for them. Certainly, if you get some extraordinary stuff, they'll ask for some financing, but for normal day-to-day business. The reason this came up is our bank that services the city has done so for 20-plus years, I believe. Forever. Yeah, forever. And I came up with the idea that I just think it's a good idea just to spread it around town a little bit, and that's why I asked for this. And I would even extend that a little bit because we do have 3 or 4 banks in town, and it's hard to pick one of them out, that we should maybe set it up, and this can change every council cycle, but every 5 years or something to change it. I know it's a bit of a pain for the staff to do it. I can't imagine it's too much work, but it's easier not to do anything.
Well, the ones I looked at, I found 3 of them actually appeared to have some costs involved with them, and 1 did not.
You want to mention any of them?
Well, sure, I
I
can.
mean, I guess we got them all right here.
Yeah. First one is First Western, and if you look at it, there's monthly charges and so forth, and check charges and different costs on it. They aren't very much, but there are costs. If you look at First National Bank, it said, and then you look at the second page, they talk about the cashier's checks, ATMs, accounting records, and while none of them are very large, there are some costs involved, it appears.
Let me just comment on that, Aaron. I believe that that's above and beyond. Is that not true, Shar? That second page of theirs, for example? Or Mike?
No, those are the charges that we would expect to incur should we accept those services. There's three of them in there. They all charge, 3 of the 4 listed here all have fees, service fees, monthly charges. All of the 4 banks charge what I would call pass-through charges. Let's say someone writes a bad check. There is a fee for all the banks for that. The one bank, Franzen is the only bank that says at this time we're proposing no changes. Since this account has been opened, Franzen Bank as Trust has waived all monthly fees in addition to the costs incurred to provide collateral balances for balances over FDIC limits. So what they're saying is, in addition to the charges that you've got on all the banks, we also get charged to have collateral pledged, secure those deposits. 3 banks charge for that, 1 does not.
And the one that does not is Franston.
That's correct.
I'm not a banker. I wish I understood this a little more because,
Well,
For-
FDIC means that if you have deposits over federally insured limits, the local institution or the institution that has your deposit has to pledge some of their own investments to cover the balance over FDIC limits, so that if the bank were to fail, or there were to be a problem with the bank, that you wouldn't lose your deposit. It's like an insurance policy.
I just wish we would have had that same breakdown on Franston. It's kind of easy to say there's no changes.
We had that the first time they responded. Same thing.
You did have something similar to this?
No,
Right,
they
a
said-
letter. Right.
What they said was, we haven't charged you service fees and we don't intend to. And they waived all of them. This is the second time they've written to that effect.
And they've shown that they don't charge us.
That's correct. Now, they do charge for pass-through fees like everybody else does.
Yeah.
No, that's normal.
Okay.
Okay, so does the council have an appetite to switch, or?
I would like to keep it where we have it currently.
I agree with John. I'm worried about the ACH, the automated clearinghouse process. There's a lot of changes that have to be made there. I would wonder what our suppliers or the people we pay through that system are wondering, why did we change? I don't want to put our staff through all of this. There could be some errors that'll fall out by making this move. Any confusion to the employees. There's no benefit to the city to do this. And I'm sorry we couldn't pass it around. It's not one of the easiest things that we can do, such as try to buy from the local hardware store. That's an easier thing to do. This is more complicated. So I'm not in favor of switching. And I'd go as far as making a motion to keep it at Franston.
Did you just say motion?
Yes.
He's looking for a second.
I second it.
Okay, now discussion. Do you guys have any other difference of opinion there?
No.
No? Okay, Shar, go ahead.
Andrews,
Yes.
Shrub,
Yes.
Zebra Vols,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Nevin.
Yes,
Motion carries.
and that's the last time I'll bring that up. All right, next, a VRBO discussion, and Aaron, I'm going to let you take this. You would be so kind.
Yeah, we, at the Safety Commission, we were discussing this, And there's a larger packet than what's in here. But we talked about the fact that number one, if we're going to do something for the first of the year, we need to start now. We need to ask Mike Linus to put it, assign staff or however he wants to do that, and look at ordinances that may be applicable, look at any cost that might come to the city for budgeting purposes when we start that in June, July, and get us pointed into the right direction with it. And I think we need to, it's time now to start looking at it before we're in all those processes and we're trying to catch up.
Chip, do you have anything you want to say to this, or let it go? You don't have to.
I just think, Council, Mayor, thank you. I just think we need to move forward with this, like Councilmember Herzog said. If you look around, you can search the internet. I created a packet for the Public Safety Committee, and it took me 2 seconds, just because there's, even Afton, Minnesota has statutes and policies. Stillwater, you go to any resort community, they all have this in place, and we're behind the 8 ball. The other day, I looked at, we had 223 VRBOs. We're not trying to police it, we're trying to know who has a VRBO, so when we do, on my side of things, and Chief Lee's, we know who's there, we know who the owner is, we know who a contact is, we'll have a list of those things. Plus, fire life safety is huge, and obviously as the fire chief, want to make sure that they're following those policies.
So you and Chief Lee both support doing something?
Yes.
Chief Lee, yeah. Okay, Mike, have you looked into how we would do something?
I have not, but I see 2 volunteers were just named to help me. One is Chief Lee and one is Chief Lohmiller.
Well, it is staffing and it's budget, and how much time would it take? We definitely need somebody who's interested in it.
Ted just offered to help too, because his
Ted?
vote is
Okay.
yes.
All right.
You're going to take care of the mailboxes, right?
But I don't think there's a motion to this other than acknowledgement that we are assigning this to Mike to get it started, kick it off, and start bringing stuff back on a monthly basis, information.
So just a suggestion, could we put an article in the paper and ask for somebody from the outside who's got a little knowledge on this, maybe no? Keep it internal?
I think if they do that, then I think whoever's heading this internal should specifically pick people that can work with it and have specific knowledge of it.
So is that a motion?
Sure.
I didn't get
Did you get all that, Char?
No.
Can you repeat that motion?
Okay.
Just the motion part of it.
The motion is to get this started, and if they need any outside help, then they should handpick the people that can actually help them and provide them with adequate information.
I second that.
Okay. Any other discussion on it?
You know,
Well, what will you guys come back with at the next council meeting? The additional costs that you need in the budget, a plan, timeline, or you don't know yet?
I really don't know. We just got this
Okay.
assigned tonight, but I would
right.
like to make sure we have planning and zoning involved in this process. That's where a lot of this might wind up at some point.
Sounds like Pete volunteered.
He missed a meeting too, so.
Attaboy, Pete. Okay, Mike, were you going to say something too?
Nope, I'm done.
Any other comments? All right, Char.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Siebert Bowles, Herzog,
Yes.
Nevin,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, then I'm going to add one to it for conversation. Chief Lee, the parking down at Andy's. I have had a few phone calls on it. People don't seem to be too bent out of shape about it. Do you agree with that?
I would. I think we've gotten a lot of positive response. I posted on Facebook your decision on how we move forward on this, and I think we've gotten a lot of positive feedback. I've gotten a few calls at people that want to split hairs and told them that we wouldn't, and otherwise I
So,
don't think we've seen a
I just I'm thinking about extending that a little bit. And what would it be like, and would the council have any appetite to put it handicap parking only? Because a few of the calls I've had have been my dad just got an oxygen, whatever it is, and he always parked down there so he could view it. So I don't know how many parking spaces there are. There are 60, maybe?
Not if we're moving it back 30 feet from the road.
40?
That
Yeah.
takes out probably half of the parking, so I would guess maybe on the interior of that lot, we'd probably have 15 to 20 spots.
Well, and then along the building, there's another, well, I suppose they take some of that up for the
Well,
outhouses.
I'm kind of looking at businesses for those,
No.
having that spot, so.
Well, I don't know, it was just a thought that just came to me, because I did have one person call and say, handicap, and I always park there, and, well, you can't do it now, or you gotta get there at 6 in the morning.
Yesterday I had a question regarding that also, and I suggested, and I had actually Jamie Reed next to me from Reed's Market, and I asked him what his thoughts were of people parking in their lot, which they obviously use, but level-wise and the parking lot clear, I'd probably say that would, for someone in a handicap position, I would say that that would probably be the best spot.
Andy's in front of the corner there?
No,
Or Reed's?
Reeds.
They can get out of there sooner.
Are we allowed to put some temporary handicap parking signs up? I mean, I don't know the rules on that.
If we want to do that, we're going to have to probably do that next year to have the correct signage
Okay,
that I can enforce.
something
All
to
right,
look
well,
at for your committee.
yeah, we don't have to get carried away with it, it was just a thought.
Yep, and that's a good thought, and maybe we should, next year, take a little longer look at it, and
Yeah.
not 6 days before.
Well, that's.
No,
that's the
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's about 8 spots at Grass Lake Lutheran Church. Golden Horizons comes there with their van.
Do they?
Yeah, it's a good spot to watch.
But how do we get people to know that? That's the trouble. People don't know. A lot of them are used to going to Andy's, and now we're taking it away from them. Or half of it away. Bob?
Dave, I think if you were to allow handicap at
Do
Andy's,
you want to?
that's-
Yeah, I suppose. Char's twitching over there.
Name and address, Dave.
Name and address.
Bob Helis, 14369 Swan Drive. I think if you were to have cars pull up for handicap parking, you have so many people at Andy's Corner, they're gonna be standing in front of them anyway, and it's not gonna help the handicapped. So I think, as Chief, what's your name? Chief Lee said, probably someplace like Reed's would be better, or as Cindy said, maybe by the Lutheran Church, someplace where they can get closer, where they don't have 10 people, 15 people deep standing in
All
front
right,
of them.
well, maybe next year it's something to think about. See if
Okay.
we can promote it. Thank you, Bob. And then I have one more announcement that I am personally going to make, is on April 21st at 6 o'clock, I'm going to have a town hall meeting at Moonlight Bay Restaurant. And I would actually like the council to come to it, but I don't want it to be a council meeting. So I don't know if I think we did that one time, as long as nobody talked. But anyway, the town hall, and it's primarily for our assessment policy that the city is adopting. I want to get the public's input. So it's 6 o'clock, April 21st, it's a Thursday night at Moonlight Bay. Okay. Mike, it's your report.
All right, thank you. The first item on my report is renewal of the 2022-2023 fire service contracts. As you know, we provide fire service for Manhattan Beach and a portion of Fairfield Township. The way that we determine how much to charge them is we charge them 3.5% of their tax capacity as determined by the county. So the amounts are $13,541.50 for Manhattan and $23,045.61 for Fairfield. So we need a motion and a approval on that.
This is the standard one
Yep,
we've been
yes, it
approving.
is.
I move we approve it.
I second it.
Okay, Shar?
Dave Schrupp,
Yes?
Ziebert Bowles,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Nevin,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Right, thank you. The second item is a resolution to reestablish precincts and polling places. As you know, every so often when the census is done, they talk about redistricting for elections. Nothing changes for Cross Lake. We have one precinct and one polling place. The polling place is here at City Hall, but we're just required to reestablish the precinct and polling places at that time. So no change, just a resolution and an approval to do so.
Okay, do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Second. Keshar?
Ziebert Bowles,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Nevin,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Schrupp.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Item 3 is a memo from TJ about a park dedication for the Huss lot split. It's a consensus of the Parks, Recreation, and Library Commission to accept cash in lieu of land for the Huss lot split.
How many lots, but
Where is it?
How many lots were it, Ted? I don't know how many lots there are,
okay.
but they're asking for cash in lieu of land for it.
Okay. I'll move we approve the cash donations.
I second it.
Keshar?
Herzog,
Yes.
Nevin,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Ziebert Bowles.
Yes.
Motion carries. If you guys want detail on that, I can find out from Cheryl what the lot split
And
was and
then-
email
Be
it to
curious how
you.
many or
I don't
something.
even know where it is. I mean, this doesn't tell us
Right.
very much at all. Let's
Yeah.
just approve it.
All right, item 4 is a cost share, is a construction cost share and maintenance agreement between Crow Wing County and the city of Cross Lake for sanitary sewer extension project. See, Phil is here. If he has any questions, he can explain the details of this. Basically, this is identifying the county's share of the construction project we're going to do this summer and all the details that go with it. One thing is that the county is capping 50% of the estimate for easement acquisition at $66,500, and the county's share is approximately $500,000. Phil's nodding yes. Phil's intimately familiar with this as I am and Tim Bray, but this is part of the project that we need to have that agreement in place as we commence with construction. So the recommendation from Phil, county, and staff is to approve it as written.
I'll move we approve the construction cost share agreement.
I second it.
Keshar?
Nevin,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Ziebert Bowles,
Yes.
Herzog.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, item 5 is an update for me on our audit from last week. We had 4 auditors here for 2 days doing their field work. Prior to that, I was working with them for almost 2 weeks ahead of time online. They sent 4 of their staff out for 2 days, but as Char will attest, I spent most of my time the last 2 weeks answering emails and even a number of them while we were doing negotiations today to get through our audit. So we have a clean audit once again, just the normal things, segregation of duties because we have a small staff and things that they'll be going over once they draft the reports and present it. One of the things that we knew of when we started the audit was we had a deficit in our sewer fund, a cash deficit. Our internal policy says we can't have a cash deficit and we don't borrow money from other funds. We clean those up at year end. If you remember during the budget process, we were partway through a number of different projects in the sewer fund where we planned to transfer money from the general fund to pay for that as we needed. Those projects were delayed a little bit. Ted's nodding yes. And so instead of transferring $222,000 or so that we had budgeted, we're looking at just to clean up the cash deficit of about $8,437.88. Now, what that means is we didn't have enough cash to pay the bills for the sewer fund. We still have a small deficit related to construction activities in that fund, in the equity section that we'll clean up once bonds are issued and the projects commences. Our policy allows us to do that, but we do need to clean up the deficit cash. So the recommendation is to approve a cash transfer to the general fund for $8,437.88. Before you do that, there's a schedule on the second page, and we're done with the City Hall project, Fire Hall, police, and the police department. We tracked those in our Fund 401, our capital projects fund. For financial reporting, as we've done in the past, they get rolled up together in the general fund. So you only really need to approve the cash transfer of $84,37.88. The other one is internal only to show how much cash we spent beyond what we had planned for that project, just for information only, okay?
I move that we transfer $8,437.88 from the general fund to cover deficit in the sewer fund cash account.
I'll second that.
Andrews,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Zebra Bowles,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Nevin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
So item 5B we're on, is a memo from me talking about the preliminary assigned fund balances. Now, most of this you've seen before. You haven't seen the final ones for December. You know, our policy requires the council to approve the assigned fund balances for our governmental funds. These are in accordance with Governmental Accounting Standard Board Statement 54, which addresses governmental fund balance reporting and governmental fund type definitions. That's a lot of fancy language for this is how we track fund balance in the general fund, the assignments, and all the different things we talked about during budget. I did get the other post-employment benefits adjustment for the sewer fund. That's about $4,900. So what we've got, this tracks you from last year's audit to where the auditors are in agreement with me where this year's audit should come up based on our policy. So what they're looking for is preliminary approval, subject to reconciliation with the final audit, so they may complete their work.
I hate to anger anyone, but the assigned balance for the police fund is $170,000. And I was told a few times that that wasn't correct, but apparently it is. So
Your comment is incorrect. The ending assigned fund balance for the police department is $115,968.22, and we discussed that at length at the February 2022 regular council meeting.
But it's at 170 now, right? Am I reading that wrong? I mean, you can correct me, that's fine.
I just did.
It says on here.
Go to page
estimates-
6 of 6 on that.
Okay.
You're looking at 2020. I'm looking at 2021. And that's consistent with what Chief Lee and I presented at our last
This is-
council meeting.
It says year-to-date through 12/31/2021. I'm sorry.
21.
Now, these are year-end, right? 2021 year-end?
Correct.
Yeah.
And you want to be on
I'm
page 6
taking it off
of
of that
6.
page.
You want to be on December, not January.
I'm sorry, I can't understand you.
You want to be on December, which is on page 6 of 6.
Okay, so December 2021 is different than December 2021 on your first page?
No, that's 20.
Well, okay. Don't you read 2021? Okay.
We good?
Be happy to go through this with you one-on-one if you'd like. I've offered that before.
So I'm sorry, did we have a motion and a second to approve that?
No, we don't. No, I was just asking the question about the assigned balances. You're going to approve these as of 12/31/2021.
I'll make a motion, we approve the document titled The Preliminary Final Fund Balances, December 31st, 2021, as presented at this council meeting.
Okay, do we have a second on that?
I second it.
Okay, sure.
Dave Nevin,
Yes?
Andrews,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yes?
Zebra Bowles,
Yes.
Herzog.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Item 6 is a memo for me dated March 10th, talking about the drug and alcohol-free workplace and testing non-DOT policy. We talked about this during the negotiation process, and the idea here is to have the council tentatively approve the policy as redlined. We would then distribute it to each of the bargaining units for comment, and then come back with final comments. And this is the policy that has been updated. We updated over the winter. And the two major changes in here is we include a revision on further defining what is reasonable suspicion for testing, which is on page 2 of the policy, and then the use of medical cannabis on page 4. So our recommendation is preliminary approval and authorization to distribute to all bargaining units for comment.
I make a motion that the city council accept the red line version revision of the city's current drug and alcohol-free workplace and testing, not for non-DOT policy.
I'll second it, but I think we need to do it as a tentative, pending
Final comment from the bargaining units.
comments. So
It has to
second,
go to the union first, right?
we tentatively approve it, then it goes to unions, and then I guess we final approval later. Okay.
That's correct.
Ready?
Okay, yep.
Andrews,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yes?
Zebra Bowles,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yep.
Nevin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, the last item on my report is a follow-up from our council meeting from last month, where I introduced the information that the Loon Center was looking at some additional funding for their facility and programs, and they're looking for the city support in that effort. So I have John Mobeck on Zoom, I have Bob Long and John Forney from the Loon Center that are going to talk a little bit about what that means, what that might look like. They're looking at a couple different things. Come on up, John. They're looking at some money that both our Carrie Rude is introducing a bill on along in the Senate, along with Dale Lewick in the House. And then between the last time we spoke, there was another opportunity that came up, and John Forney is here to explain that to you guys tonight. If you have any questions, try to stump them.
I'll lead into the explanation.
Okay.
John Mowick will do most of that. Good evening. I'm John Forney, 11797 Whitefish Avenue, Cross Lake. Mayor Nevin and members of the Cross Lake City Council, I want to thank you for your time and interest tonight. A few weeks ago, Jim Anderson stepped down as president of the board of directors of the National Loon Center Foundation. He's done an amazing job guiding the National Loon Center over the last 5+ years. I am now the president of the National Loon Center Foundation, and I'm here this evening with Bob Long, who was just introduced to you, the new board vice president. The executive director of the Loon Center, John Mobeck, is on Zoom. Our purpose tonight is to present a very significant funding opportunity for the Loon Center. As you're aware, the Loon Center was one of the major initiatives that came out of the Cross Lakers Open Community Meetings in the summer of 2016. In those meetings, residents, both full-time and seasonal, identified community efforts that were considered to be key to making Cross Lake a community where people wanted to live, work, and play. In fact, 5 of those principles from the meetings were incorporated into the Cross Lake Comprehensive Plan in 2018. The first principle, focusing on enhancing the unique ecology of Cross Lake, was then amplified by the Minnesota Design Team and became the National Loon Center. It's been over 5 years since the presentation by the Minnesota Design Team. A great deal of time, energy, and effort by many people who have devoted a lot of time to creating the Loon Center. With funding from many sources, we've made significant progress, which started to become, I think, much more visible over the past year. And there's much more in the pipeline to come. In recent weeks, two major funding opportunities, which were alluded to, have been identified. John Mobeck is going to, he's been involved with this, and he's going to cover those. Both of these opportunities are very significant, but they're also very time sensitive. I want to thank you also as a reminder that the council did support the Loon Center a couple of years ago, so that's important. And I'll let John fill you in, then if there are any questions, we'll attempt to answer them. John?
Hi, everybody. John Mobeck, Executive Director, National Loon Center. Thank you so much for allowing me to join you via Zoom tonight. I really appreciate that and certainly appreciate the support the National Loon Center has received from the city of Cross Lake over the years. As John has said, it's been a little bit of a road over the last 5 years of ups and downs, and I come to you tonight with what I think is a really exciting opportunity to get very close to the finish line on the funding side and allow us to get that much closer to opening the doors to the public. There have been so many successes over the last year. I think some of you, hopefully you've seen some of this. The boardwalks and docks that have been installed down at the Cross Lake Recreation Area are the first step in the realization of that vision to open the National Loon Center in 2024. If you haven't seen those, check them out. It's a really outstanding addition and enhancement of the Cross Lake Recreation Area for local residents and certainly the visiting public that the city of Cross Lake can be proud of. We've been able to acquire habitat up in 50 lakes by support from the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources to directly protect loon habitat in a very direct loon conservation manner. We've also been able to, with the help, the generous support of the Cross Lake Ideal Lions Club, acquire a boat that has become our floating classroom that we're calling the Loons and Lakes Stewardship Program. We are going to get that up and running this summer and introduce students from the local area and around the surrounding communities to freshwater ecosystems and the preservation of loons and smart and responsible recreation. That's something we can definitely be proud of. And again, tremendous community support behind that. And then we've started a nationally significant loon research study. Dr. Walter Piper and his research crew are contributing some cutting-edge science to our understanding of Minnesota's loons. He's documented or watched the loon population in Wisconsin for about 30 years, and he's been able to document many things, including some somewhat troubling indicators in terms of reproductive success and the return of juveniles that we want to make sure aren't occurring in Minnesota, or if they are, that we can try to head that off and make sure that we have loons for many years to come. So with all that tremendous success here tonight, we've recently, as John Forney has just shared with you, these tremendous opportunities have as you all have seen, with both state and federal funding opportunities, this year perhaps like none other, we have an opportunity to pursue a state bonding bill opportunity. Senator Carrie Rood has been gracious enough to author that in the Senate and is very supportive. Representative Dale Lueck in the House is equally as excited about this and wants to support it on our behalf. And it's important to note that this amount that I believe you've seen on the paper in front of you is nearly $8 million. That's a significant funding source for the Loon Center. And that's not a bond to be repaid. That is a grant. So that it's very important to note that it's a significant step toward the realization of that vision. The second, and I should say that this is an opportunity that the National Eagle Center also seized and the city of Wabasha and the National Eagle Center partnered to also receive about $8 million in there for the purpose of, I believe that was for redevelopment and enhancement of the National Eagle Center. But it goes to show that this has been done elsewhere and helped in the case of the National Eagle Center. And then finally, the congressionally directed spending opportunity from the federal, from Senator Klobuchar and Senator Smith, that the potential for that could be as much as $3 to $3.5 million. And that congressionally directed spending opportunity, again, we're looking for the support from you tonight. What we're looking for is support of the pursuit of these two funding opportunities. You can see on the resolution in front of you, there are several kind of elements leading up to the fact that we have these two, the federal funding opportunity, the state funding opportunity. We're looking for support with the full knowledge there's additional details and so forth to be worked out. But tonight we're hoping that the city of Cross Lake will show their support and perhaps adopt a resolution such as the one we've provided to you tonight that shows and vocalizes that support for the National Loon Center. And I think hopefully people have felt some of the buzz and the enthusiasm surrounding the National Loon Center recently. And this opportunity, I think, would as the mayor very rightfully suggested at the outset, with things such as they are in Ukraine and matters in the world being quite dire in some situations, and of course our thoughts are with those folks, we have an opportunity in the city of Cross Lake to complete this vision and get the National Eagle Center built. The National Loon Center built, and do so with these two great opportunities that we have in front of us. I want to remind you tonight, we're seeking support to pursue these significant funding sources. And again, these both take the forms of grants that are not to be repaid. So I'll end with just saying, to get the National Loon Center to the finish line and open up this facility, this world-class facility to the public in 2024, we're just hoping that you'll show your support. I don't think we need to run down each one of the resolutions unless you would like to, or each element within the resolution unless you'd like to. But I'm just really excited and grateful for the opportunity to share this with you and feel like we're getting one step closer again to opening those doors to the public and inviting them into this world-class facility. So thank you for that opportunity. If you have questions about the resolution, I'm happy, and I know Vice President Bob Long from our board and the President John Forney are there as well, if you have questions on that. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Is the city putting their name on any hook sign-in supporting this? It's just a support. We support the process. Okay. Anybody have any comments, questions?
On the current stuff, we're running, supporting you through the checking account process. That would not be the case here then, because you're saying, am I correct on that, Mike?
You're referring to the city acting as the fiscal agent on the DNR
Correct.
grant?
And would we be acting as fiscal agent here?
Not to my knowledge, no. Is that correct, John?
Yeah, and so the fiscal agent, which we're very grateful, and hopefully I think Mr. Linus would agree, we've really kept that to a minimum in terms of the amount of time he's needed to put into that. It's pretty straightforward, and as is the case with that, our goal in this is to make sure that there are no undue burdens placed on the city council or staff, and certainly no additional direct cost to the city or the residents of Cross Lake through either one of these opportunities.
I'm definitely in support of it, so please don't misunderstand. But I think when you get into federal grants and you start going into audits and stuff, it changes the whole world for us. So that's why I was concerned about it. I mean, it becomes, it draws every nickel the city has into the audit and changes it. If I remember back to the days when I was involved in a couple of them.
Yeah, what Aaron's referring to is what's today is known as Circular A-133.
Yeah.
So when an entity is considered a recipient of federal funds, there's strings attached to it.
Yeah.
Basically, your audit and the effort it takes to get through it doubles. What I think John is saying is they'd be the recipient, not the city, is that correct? On the federal money?
Yeah, well, so the opportunity to pursue these funds could involve a variety of different mechanisms to get us to that end goal. But I think the best thing to say tonight is that we want the support to pursue these opportunities. And to the extent that we then have additional discussions about them, our assurance is that, if there are additional obligations, costs, and so forth, that the National Loon Center is certainly willing to absorb and or, in any case, ensure that those aren't placed on the city. Okay. We do understand with respect to audits and so forth that there are, we want to avoid that to the extent we can, and where it happens to be a part of the process. We're looking at an $11.4 million opportunity. And of course, within that, we recognize we've got to try to do our best to ensure that there are no burdens on the city. That's the commitment we can make tonight before the rest of the details. I see Bob Long is up there to probably make it clearer than I could.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my name's Bob Long, and I'm actually vice president of the board of the Loon Center, and I'm also a resident at 41066 Peninsula Road in 50 Lakes. So thank you for the time tonight. John's right. On the federal funding, it's very clear that the actual funding can come directly to a nonprofit, so that the federal funding can't go to a for-profit, but it can come directly to a nonprofit. So in the federal funding, we would get the money directly to the Loon Center and avoid the audit questions I think that you're bringing up, which I think is legitimate. So I want to make sure you knew that.
Okay. Thanks. That answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Bob.
Any other questions, comments?
Hi, this is Dave. I was just kind of curious, is there, regarding costs that the plan that you put together, I haven't seen it. And I know there's been talk in the past about parking and shuttles, and was there ever any money put in for parking lots or shuttles, or is the city going to get exposed to any of this cost?
So in this funding, though it isn't, so far the funding is left open to its application in terms of it could be utilized for site preparation, site development, construction, and or exterior improvements, which could include parking lots. However, as you know, since the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is our lessor there, we have to be cognizant of the fact that all of those negotiations occur with them within our lease. So I guess I'm not sure if I'm addressing your question directly. It hasn't been expressly addressed within these funding opportunities, I can say that.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, for John's benefit, the state bonding bill that's getting drafted that Senator Kerry Rude and Representative Luke have agreed to carry does includes under state bonding authority, when the state allocates the bonding money of $7.9 million, you have to specify in the bill all the purposes for which you can spend the money, and they will be including specifically we could use the money in part for construction of the building as well as for outdoor public improvements such as parking. So there would be funding in the bill to include to pay for the cost of parking.
But it probably wouldn't be off-site parking. We're talking about parking.
Oh, no, it'd be, yeah, right. On-site parking at the center would be covered. It would be adjacent to the center.
I think anything off-site is going to be our contribution. We're going to have to figure that out. And a lot of that, we've applied for some grants and whatnot, and hopefully that'll help. But no, they've made it real clear from the get-go that they're going to take care of their stuff, and that's it.
Okay. Then I'll make a motion that we approve the support for their efforts.
I second it.
Keshar?
Andrews?
Yes.
Schrupp?
Yes.
Zebra-Buls? Herzog?
Yes.
Nevin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Just a couple quick things here. I'd like to take 2 of my employees and move them from probationary status to permanent. That'd be Officer Adam Casanova and Sergeant Jake Meyer. Both have exhibited the qualities that we want to have for our police department. Officer Casanova is going to be growing into his role and learning a lot more, and he'll do a great job. Sergeant Meyer has excelled at his job and seems to be really enjoying it and doing a good job. So I guess it would be 2 motions. One with Officer Casanova would place him at step 1 of the current Teamsters contract in the pay plan.
I move we move Officer Casanova to permanent status and give him the step increase pay.
I'll second that.
Crazy 6 months has gone by that quick.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, Sheriff.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Siebert Bowles, Herzog,
Yes.
Nevin,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And the second one for Sergeant Jake Meyer, and if it weren't for January, I'd really agree with you, because that one seemed to go on forever.
Well, every day takes forever. It's the months that click by.
I move we move Sergeant Meyer to permanent status and then place him at whatever step. It doesn't say here, but the appropriate step.
We'll have to negotiate that with the contract.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Let Schrupp second it.
Siebert Bowles,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Nevin,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Schrupp.
Yes, and I'd like to thank them for being employees at Cross Lake.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is a resolution supporting Sourcewell impact funding for Lexipol policy. In 2012, we did this under Chief Hartman, and we didn't carry on the contract with them, but now it's come back up again with Region 5 law enforcement agencies all getting together and trying to get impact funding that we can support this for 2 years. So the initial first year would be set up and the first year contract, and the second year would be the contract, the subscription, I guess they call it. Third year, we'd be on our own. So this would be for the first and second year. The advantages of this are that Breezy Point, Pequot, Nisswa, Crow Wing County, we all have very similar policies. We know what the other person's going to do. Second advantage that we have is that I can set the training daily for daily briefings to go out to the officers, and they have to review policies for us. So right now the policy manual sits in there. It's pretty difficult to document. Hey, go through the use of force policy today. Tomorrow I'll go through the police pursuit policy, but all I have to do is click and it'll send out that training for the guys. So if we could, there is no obligation right now. Once we go forward, if we decide in the third year that it's something we don't want to do, which cost would be just about $6,000, $6,007. If we chose not to do it after that, we have an updated policy. Policies are a bear these days with the changing in use of force and changing in police pursuit stuff. It's a tough job to try to keep up with.
What is Lexipol? Is that a training?
They're a national organization that, I mean, there are agencies all across the country that subscribe to them, and they have a legal team that vets the policies for you. They know Minnesota law, what it requires, what the post board requires. So they'll send it all out, and so it's completely vetted. And, you know, if we follow our policy and the guys know the policy, then, you know, it protects both of us, both the officers and the city.
There's no training, though. It's a policy, a manual that you get.
It's a policy manual that will offer training through daily briefings. So I think you get like a half credit for 3 daily briefings or something like that. So there is also training that comes with it and post credits.
One of the advantages I see to this is when you're responding to work with other agencies or they're responding to you, you're functioning off the same policy manual, so they don't think they can do this and you think you have to do that, and you're conflicting at the scene. That's problematic.
Correct.
When that happens.
And right now, our policy manual is about 450 pages.
So Chief, is this first year with startup, $14,000? Is that what you're asking for today?
Nope. What I'm asking for today is to support this through a resolution. And it's going to go to Lexipol for impact funding, much like Chief Lohmiller did for the drone team. So what we're doing is Region 5, which is Crow Wing, is it Cass, Mike? Cass and?
Yes.
And Todd and Wadena, we're going to try to pull together and put this forward so we all go through the process of switching or converting our policy manuals under Lexipol.
So then you come back again and say, we did it and here we are. This is
Yep.
what we gotta do. And that's
But
what-
it's for the first 2 years, so set up the first year's subscription and the second year's subscription. The third year, we'd be on our own to decide what we want to do, or we go back to Lexipol and say, it's working, can we keep it going? What's that? Going back to Sourcewell. Sourcewell, sorry, yes, Sourcewell.
So my understanding, Sourcewell is going to pay for the first 2 years?
Well,
Or-
that's our proposal right
Got
now.
it.
We're just trying to get support for it, so we can bring it down, I believe it's April? End of May, that it'll be presented to Sourcewell, and they'll vote on whether or not to do this.
Got it, thanks.
So your memorandum says, at this time, there is no obligation to sign up. This resolution would only support the process going forward.
Correct.
So we're looking for a motion for that.
I move that we approve that.
Second?
Second.
Okay, Shar.
Herzog,
Yes.
Nevin,
Yes?
Andrews,
Yes.
Schrupp, you're muted.
Dave, you're
I'm on
muted.
mute,
There you go.
yes.
Zebert Bowles,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ted.
Engineering service fee approval. At the Public Works meeting of 3/7/22, the Public Works Commission made a motion to the council to approve the engineering service fee for assessment, construction services of CASA 66 sanitary sewer and storm sewer improvements. All the commissioners were in favor. Basically, right now, Bolton and Mink is doing work for us. We don't have a contract with them. If you look at your second page, it's $194,790 for the total project.
And that gets us pretty much through the process?
All the way
Done? Case of beer in there, too? For the end? Okay. Any questions, comments on it?
I think we need to move forward, till we keep going forward.
Looking for a motion to approve that.
So move.
So moved. Pick one.
Motion by Andrews, second by Schrupp. Go ahead, Char.
Nevin,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yes?
Zebert Bowles,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, the next one is you have two from Crow Wing County, and it's on the annual bridge inspection. Realize they do this bridge this year, and then they skip a year and do the other bridge, or another bridge at the other side of town. This is the one that's out by Marcia's home, and Guardrail has, for some reason, is getting low. There's a washout that needs to be fixed. Some minor maintenance that they pointed out that we need to take care of. We'll address it in the spring when the weather gets nice and get these things taken care of. So that's for council information for those two things, unless you have any questions of it.
No, is there any warranty or anything? Probably not, huh? Just minimal and do it?
Yep.
Okay.
The last one is, this was, remember I brought forward to you that garage. I think a lot of you have been down and seen it now down in the river, what we call the Thal garage. We were talking about moving that to the park department for their future needs. We were trying to come up with some costs, and between TJ and us, we looked up what a new steel roof would cost. We looked up to have it moved. We're about $6,000 to have it moved. We're in the process of getting quotes for concrete slab and putting the tubing in it, so we have the option of putting heat into the floor. So we're working on it. We just haven't got final bids back. Nobody's sent anything to us that we requested, so.
So you don't have any estimates, guesstimates, nothing?
I got a guesstimate. I'm gonna say we're in that 25,000, give or take a little bit. I mean, the steel was, for the roof, was at $2,800 for the steel for the roof. We were just gonna pressure wash the building and take our airless sprayer and just paint the building. We weren't gonna do anything fancy. We needed to replace a window, replace a service door, things like that. We weren't gonna get too elaborate.
Do you guys, you went through that building, John? Were you there when we all went through and toured it?
Not this
No,
time, I
but
was.
Mark and Aaron, you were?
Yeah.
It's a 30 by 40 building. They're gonna put, how many, 4 courses of block on
Well,
there?
right now it has 2, we're talking 4.
We're gonna raise it 2 more courses, put panels. It's gonna really serve that Park and Rec fabulously.
Yes, I believe so.
So it's March meeting now. I just would kind of like to put a not to exceed or something and come back at the next meeting and update it, but it'd be kind of nice if you could kind of schedule that.
That's what we'd like to do, but like I said, the people we've contacted haven't got back bids to us yet, so pricing to us.
So would the council consider that at all? Ted says 25,000. I think it's going to be closer to 40. Do we authorize them to a not to exceed 40 and come back at the April meeting with some firmer numbers and let them schedule it?
We need a quote.
Well, nothing had happened until after April. I mean, nothing's going to happen. It would just be to get on the books of some people.
Yeah, and the other thing, just so everybody's aware, I just heard about road restrictions today. 1 more week, road restrictions are on.
Yeah.
So leaving the concrete trucks and
Yeah,
moving
so then
gravel's
they're
gonna be a
6
problem.
weeks out for 7 weeks out. So it'll be the 1st of May before anything can happen. It'd just be scheduling, it'd be all.
Yes. Getting steel ordered, things like that.
Yeah.
Does the Park and Rec have the funds in there to do it?
I don't know where the money's gonna come from. I have not,
think
that's
that
one thing we haven't addressed.
So TJ came earlier with 75,000 for improvements to his building, and what did we do? Deny that, or did he?
That was gonna come from his park dedication funds, and I do not remember that we made any motions or anything. There really was no direction at that time, so.
Did we budget that 75,000, Mike, do you recall?
We did not,
So we don't have it in there.
other than park dedication.
Now, we're spending a lot of that park dedication is getting spent on the youth equipment that's being put in. So I think we need to make sure where we're at with that before we spend.
50,000 of it is for the playground.
Yeah, but
That's what was dedicated to
How
it.
about TJ and I bring back, we'll work on getting these numbers hard. We'll bring back at the next council meeting, so we've got a hard number for you. I'll work on tying down the availability, because we made it sound like 6 weeks we could have the steel on the 2 suppliers I checked, so.
Okay, please.
So in the meantime, I would encourage any of you that could get down there is to go to the Park and Rec and look at that facility with TJ, so you know what he's got. And John, maybe if you could go down and look at the building, you know.
Just give
and
me a call, John, and I'll
Dave,
give
when
you a
you
tour.
get back, go look at it.
Will do.
But I think they need some help, and it would, it would be real cheap for the city to take care of them for some years to come.
Yeah, TJ and I both think of it, we're not really, even my department, his department, we're not gaining. The equipment we have is equipment we'll just be replacing and, trading it in and getting a newer of that same version. So really, we're not gonna gain in any size. It's just everything is so jumbled and tied up. We just need a little space to spread it out.
So I would
So it
just
should get us by for several
encourage you
years.
to take a look at the facilities and come back at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you. Thanks, Ted. Okay, next is public forum. Action may or may not be taken on any issue raised. If council requires more information or time for consideration, the issue will be placed on the agenda of a next regular council meeting. Speaker must state their name and address at the discretion of the mayor. Each speaker is given 3 minutes. Does anybody have anything? Come on up, Tom. You've been awful quiet. I'd be disappointed.
Tom Swenson, 35533 Sandpoint Drive. I want to go back to the assigned balances. In your package, you received 10 pages of very confusing figures. I dealt with reserve dedicated things for 33 years. I couldn't follow it, and there's, just as an example, and I know what Marcia is saying, where on page, and this is on my phone, I don't have a hard copy of it, but on the first one, and it's got police equipment, 170,886 something, and then under park dedication fees, you've got 99,608. Now on that, the top of that sheet, it says capital improvement fund balances beginning January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. Okay, then you go down a few more pages, and it's on mine, it's page 110. Now for park dedication, you're up to 166,608, and the police is at 125,481. You go to the next page, and the police is now at 115,906, and the park dedication is now at 63,670. I did this for 33 years. I can't follow this. I'd be very surprised if anyone sitting at the council can follow what this is. I hope what you adopted as your year-end designated balances is correct, because it's all over the board in these. I don't know if it's, paper the council with so much paperwork that it's confusing or what, but I couldn't follow it. Enough said. I hope next month on the balance sheet that comes out, we get a clean figure that we can all work with from now on, because, park dedication went from 99 up to 160, and police went from, 170 down to 115.
It certainly would be nice, and this is no criticism or anything, but a lay person's form of this so we could follow it, because I never have been able to. I never will be able to. I totally take the recommendation from
I'm
the
somewhere in
staff.
between a lay person and somebody that should know this, and I couldn't follow it, and I dealt with this kind of stuff for 33 years, so.
But I have kind of asked Now, Mike always says, come on in and we'll walk through it, but to me, it is confusing. I agree with you. I can't. I rely on the rest of these guys, hopefully.
So
they-
if the estimated totals available for existing fund balance, that's not 2021, 12/31/2021? See, I think it is, because
Again,
on
my
that,
suggestion would be rather than to have this debate in detail, you know, when I did provide a balance sheet with adjusted numbers, I did make it quite simple. And we got a lot of questions on it, and the numbers kept getting pulled and rejected, and nobody came in and talked to me. And I've offered you, Mr. Swenson, and you, Ms. Vols, please come and talk to me, sit down, let's go through the numbers. Be more than happy to sit down and go through it with you, rather than to have this debate at every council meeting. So I really don't have any other comment on this tonight, other than to say, please schedule some time, come in, be more than happy to sit down and go through with you.
I'm not coming in to talk to you. I'd like the public to know what the numbers are. If I come in and talk to you and you still hand out 10 sheets that are confusing, the public doesn't know what it is.
I'm not confused by them.
Well, I know you're not. You're a CPA.
Thank you.
So,
yeah.
But
And I've presented it
I
in
would bet
some
nobody on the
reform.
council understood those.
well, I had just asked a question about the existing fund balance on your first page, and it's through 12/31/2021, and granted, you start out, on all these other pages, you have to October 31st, 2021, August 31st, 2021. I realize all those balances are going to change, but when you have an existing fund balance and it's through 12/31/2021, you should be able to count on that on your big spreadsheet. Those coincide with what you have on your spreadsheet, and on your spreadsheet, that's to 12/31/2021, and those balances are there, available.
I tried
fund
to
balance.
make it as simple as I could. So I started with the
It is simple,
beginning.
but you're saying it's not, that it's not right.
It's as simple as I can make it. I started out with the beginning number, which was what was in our audit at 2020. And I
Yes.
said, what was our budget? What were the budget amendments? And then I said, okay, that's our starting point for the year. That's how much money, our fund balance, we have to spend on stuff, whatever that stuff is. And then I just kept a running total for each month.
So I realize that. You start out
Then what's
with
the
the
problem?
existing fund balance, because you're saying that this estimated totals available existing fund balance is not
That's the amount that's
12/31/2021.
available before you spend any money.
Isn't the existing fund balance
That's the amount you have before you
12/31/2021?
spend any
Give me
money.
a date. Is that 2021? Is that 12/31/2021?
That's January 1st, 2021. That's how much we're starting the year with. You take your ending balance, you add what you budgeted, what you expect to have in the budget for revenue, which is what you approved in
Okay,
the
so
budget.
the fund balances that we just approved are of 12/31/2021.
That's
What
correct.
page is that on? Ben?
Page 6 of 6, which I mentioned before.
On the shorter pages, Marcia, not those long pages.
It's on both.
Yeah, it's on both.
But you demanded detail every month, so I've provided it to you. I summarized it on the balance sheet, and you kept pulling it every month since August. And
Dave,
not
do you
once
get
have you
it?
come in.
Mr. Schrupp, do you get it?
Yeah, I can see on the very first page, it's the end of 2020. That's where it starts. The
First
title on the,
yeah.
the title on the spreadsheet covers the whole 6+ pages. And then he starts with the balance there. But that's the end of last year. End of 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
Right, and then so he covers all of 21.
Why
We made
wouldn't
a
you
lot
s-
of changes.
Why wouldn't you start out with January 1st, 2021 and end 12/31/21?
'Cause that's
Why
the
are
s-
you giving us an existing fund balance of 12/31/20?
That's what you asked for.
No.
We have to have a starting
12/31/21,
point.
12/31/21, the end of the year. That's
What would
we
you
had to-
suggest it be?
What?
You have a beginning of the year and an end of the year. You have a starting point.
The
and an ending point.
12/31/20 balance was approved through the audit, the
That's
financial
correct.
audit.
And that's represented here.
Yeah, and what we wanted was the 12/31/2021 assigned balances.
And that's presented here too,
Page 6.
on page 6 of 6.
But in response to Dave Schrupp, the first one that I'm talking about is, has the title January 1, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. And yes, it starts out with the adjusted balance as of 12/31/2020, and then it has, there's a whole list of,
Right there. Where it says.
Okay, so
Adjusted balance.
we're at 115,000 in
And
police
then-
equipment.
That's correct, and that's what we
and
talked
then
about at
you've
the
got all
February
these
meeting in
coming
depth.
down here, and where's, like, park dedication.
But I was told that
98,000
that was not going to be
there.
that amount when it came
And the police,
to the end of the year. I
you're
know
at
it was.
170. There's
Great.
things added in here,
That's the budget
yeah.
for 2021. That was adjusted due to, well, that's the budget of 2021. Again, same thing for equipment. So was that, Mike, is that number, the 12,000? That was the number taken out,
That's correct,
the budget adjustment.
correct.
See, the reason for the question, always, at budget time, was that why we had 115,000 in police equipment and we were budgeting another 66,000. I didn't understand
And we
that.
answered that at the February regular council meeting. So again, I mean, I understand not all of you are accountants,
I give up, I guess.
and that's why I've offered for anyone, the door's open, please come in, spend some time with me, be happy to teach you how this works.
I can see it, it's just that you had existing fund balance on that first page. All these other dates, you could have just given us 12/31/2021.
I propose that too.
So do we want to change it, or are you okay, or what should we do?
No, I just wanted an answer on that.
Okay.
Because I was told that the police equipment was
You're
going
not
to
going to get
go,
into accounting now, are you?
No, this is just something simple. Jerry Volt's Moon Beach Trail. I go to the coffee shop and people go from the gas station through there and out by Andy's. I mean, they're going fast. I was just wondering if, when it gets better out, if they could put some rumble strips in there, or them bumps to slow them up. Or if they could police it a little bit, because, I mean, there's a lot of old people going in and out of there that,
The Public Safety Committee did approve to put, or recommend putting rumble strips in there, or speed bumps.
speed bumps, yeah.
And by the time it got done, it was getting cold and it wasn't gonna get
Yeah,
done.
we don't
So
want 'em in the
It's still
winter.
something on this year that I wanna try to do, but we gotta find the funding for it, so.
Okay, thank you.
The same thing was gonna be done at the community center.
Is signage and no through traffic there? Is there
I'm
no,
sorry?
no through traffic signage there or anything, or no?
No, there's not.
Probably wouldn't
Again, I mean,
matter. Yeah.
it's another sign, and 20 miles an hour is fast through there. It's probably the fastest that I've gotten when I've sat there.
Signs don't work. You see it the first time you go through, and then it's just another object that's sitting there.
Right.
Okay, anything else? Anybody else? Come on. Huh? All right, public forum is done. Any new business? Any old business?
oh, I have something.
Okay.
When we went at the Public Works meeting, we went through those
Buildings?
buildings. I think we need to have the fire department and Ted bring us a list of equipment that we can put up, declare surplus, or get the truck. I think I mentioned, I'm sorry, but I did mention it once before, and I'm going to mention it again, the turnout gear that's sitting in a pile, that should maybe go to sanitation. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there, and we're talking about building more sheds, because we don't have any room for our equipment, but we got equipment that we don't utilize anymore. We should be putting it on.
Chip, can you
Selling it.
come up so we can question you on a couple things?
So, Marcia, you're asking for the department heads to look at what's there
Yeah,
and
I
either
don't-
dispose of it or bring it to us for,
What is in question?
to sell if it's.
The gear was possibly going down to like Honduras or something, but I haven't got the connection to get it sent down there. Chief Strike was gonna give me some contacts for that.
I wonder
The
if you
state of
pick 'em
Minnesota,
up.
you can't have gear over, or in the United States, you can't have gear under OSHA over 10 years old, so that's why we don't have it. We were gonna give it to somebody else that didn't.
But I
follow
wonder
OSHA.
in that cold storage, is
That's what I'm-
it cracked, and, I mean, is it even worth sending anywhere?
Maybe not. If not, I can have the guys throw it in the trash.
Yeah, I mean, it's just laying on the floor. It's not getting more
Everything else
valuable.
there is, we swap out the Ranger, what do you call that?
There's an old water pump down there.
Yep, we keep that.
Do you use it?
Once in a while, we will, yeah.
Okay, and then that barbecue, that beautiful
That's our
barbecue,
Relief Association purchased that.
do you use it?
Yep. That's how we do our pig roast.
When's the last, and I'm not trying to
We
be
do it in the
smart, but
summertime in August.
you do it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Well, that is the building that we're gonna try to give to the park too, so,
Oh, I didn't know that.
right, Ted? Yes. Yeah, so, I mean, that building for sure has
And then
gotta
all our
be cleaned
tables
up.
and chairs are stored there. That's what we use them for our any open houses or any of our pig roast. And then we have some large diameter hose that we have in there still, and some other items that we shift depending on the time of the year.
Okay, but I
Storage
mean,
lockers,
The what?
storage lockers? There's some black storage lockers.
Fire hall that are those plastic ones.
We could get rid of them.
There's a wall down there, there's a whole pile of them.
I'm not aware of those.
What about your,
yeah, we just went and questioned them on whatever, but needless to say, I mean, it would be nice to go down there, spend some time, look at each item, keep, what are we gonna do with it? And if it's not, get rid of it. Have a garage sale or surplus sale or,
Well, most of the stuff that's in there we use, except for, I don't know, these these storage locker thingies you're talking about. But.
There's some, remember they were about that tall.
black against the wall.
So where's my tables and chairs and all that stuff gonna go then?
We're gonna have to find room in that other garage, with the old phone company garage up above. We've got room up there, we'll just
Okay.
rearrange some things.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Chairs upstairs, that doesn't sound good.
No, the chairs would be on the trailer down below.
Okay.
Yeah, there's room in that other building. Good point, Marcia. I hope we need to clean a little bit of stuff up.
so if you could bring that, any surplus or any equipment that you can sell or want to sell to the next meeting, that'd be great. And then we can just get that all cleaned
Actually,
up.
Ted, if you and Chip could go down there, go through it, mark stuff.
Well, like the old generators for they gotta go back.
where those came from. Those aren't mine.
They were given to the fire department before my time and your time, so
My time too, I don't know where those are.
they gotta go back up to that DNR facility.
Well, then give it back to DNR.
Yeah, whatever.
What about that thing for the grass rig,
Well, the one for the grass rig they use every year, there's the secondary one that
the secondary one?
he still wants, so.
Oh,
Yeah, the one that was in your old grass rig, your old truck.
And that foam, you're gonna keep for the Park and Rec building. So that has got some value to it.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else with new business? Old business? Mr. Person, I believe you got a report here on real estate or something?
That's at least our best version of putting the offer you told us to make to Ness on paper, and he signed it, so we're looking for the council to approve it tonight.
Okay, any questions on that?
It does say we're gonna pay the $10,000 now, and the rest happens when we take title.
And that's approximately a year?
Well, the deadline is Feb. 15
February
of
13th.
2023, but the 10,000 is to help, so he can help pay to move and get it out of there, and that's his final deadline.
Okay.
A little less than a year from now,
And the price is 165?
plus the 10,000.
So
You
it'll be
authorized 170.
165 at closing?
10,000 now, 165 at
So
closing,
it's
yes.
175.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion for that?
Before we go to a motion, Mike, have we figured out where that money's coming from?
It'll come out of the unassigned fund balance from the general fund.
Can we adjust the Public Works budget for that, Bob, for the skid steer and the snow blower? Then we have 110,000 there and then take it out of an assigned balance.
I thought we had 240,000 in there. Public Works.
No.
Oh, well, all we took out was the skid
32
steer
for
and those.
something and 60-something for the other.
I think we need to, I'll make a motion that we adjust that and have a transfer. Is this land going to be a sewer fund asset? I would think it would be.
It'll be in the sewer fund, yes.
Okay, so if we could do a transfer out to the sewer fund for that, the budget.
I'll second that motion.
Does that motion include accepting the agreement as drafted too, I assume? Or is that, do you make a separate motion on that? That was, your motion was more about where we're paying for it, not the actual agreement. Is the agreement okay?
One is just where the funds are transfer
You want a
funds,
separate-
then we'll still have to vote on
Okay, that's what
this.
I'm trying to understand.
Okay, and so, and I don't know which assigned balance you'd like to take it out of. I would like to take it out.
That's fine. Take it from the,
No, but we need more than 110,000. Where's we going to get the balance?
but we have a time to look at the accounts to determine where to come from.
Oh, okay.
Because right now, we only need
10,000.
Okay, so,
More than covered.
but right now, the motion on the floor is to remove the 110,000 from Public Works, the Bobcat and the snow blower, and transfer it into the sewer fund. Right.
Sewer fund land purchase, I would assume, but yes.
Okay, that's a motion. Aaron, did you second that?
Yes.
Any other conversation?
So just so I'm clear, you're only authorizing a $10,000 transfer at this time?
No, 110,000.
The whole fund, whatever is in that fund. Correct?
We might as well do it now, 110,000.
Well, we need 175.
I know, and I wanted to do the assigned balance, but he wants to wait.
Well,
Unless
the
somebody
thing
else
is,
wants to.
We need 10,000 now. We have the one source. We have to look and figure out where the other sources are.
Okay, we'll move 10 now, and we'll come back with,
The motion was 110,000.
Yes, it was. Okay.
Okay, motion and a second. That's 110,000. Any other discussion? Go ahead, Char.
Andrews,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Siebert Wills,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Nevin.
Yes.
So I'll make a motion, we approve the real estate agreement between Randy Ness and the city of Cross Lake to
I'll
purchase
second
that
that.
land at 35205 Riverwood Trail.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion on that? Go ahead, Char.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Siebert Wills,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Nevin,
Yep.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now we have to adjourn to go into closed session. Do we have to go into closed session?
We have a closed session item to talk about a land acquisition issue related to the CASA 66 project.
Okay, folks, thanks for coming. We got to close it up. Shut up.